stupid, piece of what? Oh, hey guys, didn't see you there. You must be here to see levers in action. Something that you might not know is that we actually use levers, or at least the principles of levers, all the time in the woodshop class. One example is how I was showing you with the claw hammer. Claw hammer can be actually used in two different ways, two different classifications of levers, which I'll show you later in this video. Another example is how you would cut a longboard like this on the table saw. In case you're wondering, yes, I did my safety checks.
So how do you classify a lever? Well, levers are classified by the position of three different elements. The first element is where the fulcrum is, the second element is where the load is, and the third element is where the force is.
But Mr. Ladd, I use the table saw to cut my wood.
Well, random imaginary student, you use the principles of levers to cut this wood safely. In order for us to cut this wood safely, we need to have this board flat on the table. Clearly it is not. Right now what is happening at the edge of the table, you have the fulcrum, or the pivot point. This is allowing the board to go up and down. Gravity and the weight of the board on the back end, over here, is pushing this board down. And then the beginning of your cut, which will be at the end of the board here, that would be your load rising up because of gravity on that side. Now, in order for us to cut this safely, we need to create a new fulcrum or pivot point. And I'm going to do that with my left hand right here. My right hand over here is going to be the force that pushes this board up. And the load is now going to be going down onto the table, allowing me to cut safely.
Now I'm going to show you guys how we use a claw hammer as a lever.
Yo, but Mr. Ladd, you said there was two ways you could use the claw hammer as a lever.
Yes, random person who is clearly just myself wearing a hat pretending to be a student from a different generation, but I don't know how they talk. This way is going to be the first classification of a lever. I'll also be showing you guys a third classification of a lever using the claw hammer. Here we have a nail inside the board. This would be acting as our load that we're trying to take out of the wood. Right here where I have marked with the black line, that would be the fulcrum or the pivot point of the hammer. And then right here on the handle, this would be the force that we would apply to take the load out of the wood. The easiest example of the first classification of a lever would be a seesaw. So you could also put the force on the hammer head right here, but because I have this handle here, it's a lot easier. So just apply force and take out the load. Don't touch your face. Another way you use your claw hammer is the third classification of a lever. In this case, my wrist would be the fulcrum point. So this is the point in which the force swings. The force will be the hammerhead, and the load will be the nail in the wood that the nail is going into. Here, the pivot point allows the force to go up and down, forcing the load into the wood. Alright, the last one I'm going to show you guys is the second classification of a lever, and I personally think it's one of the most handy lever classifications out there. In this case, we have the load, which are these three buckets here. The load is in between the fulcrum, right here, and the force, which is going to be me. By having the load in the middle, and then the fulcrum point and the force on either side of the load, it makes it very easy to lift up heavy loads with a lever action like this. Note, I lift with my legs and not with my back. That's the second classification of a lever. Thanks for watching, guys. That's basically what the three classifications of a lever are. The main point to remember is the different classifications of a lever are determined by where the fulcrum point is, the load, and the force are. Those three things determine what kind of lever you have. Peace.